Greetings! Welcome to the Chair Reviews, my weekly bash at some film reviews for the new cinematic releases and any DVDs that I've seen, whether they be in my collection or something that's been sent to me. It's a gift, it's a little gift. So press on. Been to the cinema twice this week. The first time was yesterday. I meant to go and see Horrible Bosses 2. But as I didn't expect it to be very good, and I was really tired, I didn't go. Apologies. I'm not being a faithful servant there, am I? But yesterday I did go to see The Penguins of Madagascar. Now, I pulled this out the other week when I was talking about depressing films and watching this afterwards, because it's an antidote, essentially. Madagascar 3, this is. Sorry, I wasn't holding it up clearly. I've seen the other two Madagascars. They're not very good, actually, but this one was an absolute cracker. And part of that crackingness, part of the crackolity, is the penguins. Oh, the penguins. Skipper, okay, Private, who now is apparently is English. He's got an English voice in the film, anyway. And Kowalski, who's kind of well, I don't know what he does. Sort of the brains, and a guy who swallows everything. And that's, maybe that Kowalski thing is part of the problem, which I'll go on to in a little while. Now, I went to see it. First off, I'm not the hottest on animation. I adore, they're over here, the Pixar films. They're really tremendous. When they're good, they're good. But if they're not good, I'm not the person to find them funny per se. Or, well, let's just say there's something about a human face that I find, well, human, and just the lack of that leaves me cold. I don't think that's a strange thing, but the lack of a human face sometimes leaves me a bit emotionally unengaged. That's what I meant to say, Professor. So I'm not predisposed to liking them, but I do like the penguins. Part of Madagascar 3, as I said, that was they were a real high point. Just the way they spoke to each other, and that they were idiots. So I went into this. I was expecting quite a lot, and it starts off pretty damn funny. Some really good jokes, some good little bits of slapstick. They go to Fort Knox. One of the jokes, Skipper says. It's private. It's kind of a lot of it's about Private, about his journey, and he says, "What do you want for your birthday, Private?" And he says, "I want to be a valued member of the team." And he says, "Yeah, we got you something else." I thought it was really, really brilliant. What they got him was some crisps, which is even funnier, really. But it starts off quite zany, and then you get into plot details, and they go to Fort Knox, steal some crisps, and which all, this still sounds brilliant. And then get kidnapped by an octopus who is out for revenge, because penguins are really, really cute. In the cartoon, they're the cutest thing in the world, and he got jealous because I won't spoil everything. He's jealous of the penguins, let's say. And this point one. They go on about, penguins were so cute, we're so friendly. They're interesting. I don't know if they are that friendly. And there you see, there's a start to things not making quite as much sense as they should. But anyway, I was sat there and I was laughing, and they escape from the octopus, and then they meet up with this band who are protecting helpless animals called the North Wind, and they're animals themselves. They're well funded, voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch. He's the wolf in charge. And then halfway through, I laughed out loud a couple of times in the first half. Halfway through, I realised that my laughs were becoming little tiny smiles, and I realised I was going off this film. And I know you shouldn't dissect a cartoon too much, but really falls between two stools. There's none of the emotional heft of a Pixar film. There's no scene like an Up. They try to do it, but the characters aren't invested in enough to give you that heft. I love Private and Skipper, but I don't know, you're not given any time with them. No one has any story. But, on the other hand, if you don't do that, then make the damn thing so fucking fast and zany that you're just crazed out. You just laugh a minute, gag. And it doesn't have that either. So, it really fell between the two posts. And eventually I was just kind of... And then I got the dreaded... quite like this to finish, to be honest. Dave... The octopus, that's funny. There's a name forgetting gag which is consistently funny, I think. And they kind of drop that 2/3 of the way through and he stops doing it. Which is, again, it seems like inconsistency. Well, it is inconsistency. Yeah, and it just gets less and less funny. And at the end I wanted it to finish a little bit. Yeah, it's amusing all the way through, let's say. It's amusing all the way through, and if you've got a 5-year-old, they're just going to like it anyway. But there's not that much in it for the adults eventually. There's this weird thing where they keep dropping film stars' names in, like Drew, Barry, Moore. It doesn't really seem to hint at anything. I don't see what it is. It's just thrown in there, and it doesn't work. Yeah, and at the end, there's during the credits, suddenly King, whatever his name is, King. No, he's not even on the damn front. Oh yeah, he is that guy. I think it's Sacha Baron Cohen. Him and the beautiful little creature that he has. They're in the credit sequence, and then you go, that's what I was missing. I was missing the ensemble. It doesn't work. Unfortunately, for me. The penguins are a dead duck. They're penguins. So that one didn't work. That one didn't work for me. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. When it's done right, yeah, that's the other thing. You can have. Anyway, it didn't work. Right. Let's do the big one then. Let's do the big one, which is. Not this film. It's the third Hobbit film, which I saw 2 hours ago. Yeah. Go through the wine here. Yeah, the Hobbit. Alright, let's start by saying it's good. It is good. I liked it. I liked it more than I liked the Penguins of Madagascar. I didn't like it. No, let's not start that way. But yeah, it's a good film. It's a good film. But these films, all films have a benchmark, don't they? If you can watch talky art house indie films, but for every liberal arts, you've got a Before Sunrise, which is amazing. You know, it's the same concept, but it's just much better done. Much betterly done. It's more betterly done. And so the benchmark for the Hobbit films, unfortunately, is the Lord of the Rings films. And they are pretty much 10s. You know, they're 10 out of 10 films. Yeah, Return of the King, slightly less good, but come on, let's face it, it's still a 10. You can forgive the ending thing. And the Hobbit films haven't come up to scratch, have they? So this one I went into my expectations were quite low actually, but what I did like about it was that it kind of seemed like the trilogy grew up, almost out of the Ring's shadow for a change. It became its own thing. And one of the problems I've had, one of the several problems I've had with the trilogy so far, is that it kind of seemed so hell-bent on showing you that this was part of the Lord of the Rings thing, that it kind of felt like it was pulling too much away from the Hobbit story, which is a great story, you know. And it wasn't... In a way, it was also slightly undermining the Lord of the Rings films in that you don't want to uncover too much of this stuff before Lord of the Rings, because at the beginning of the Lord of the Rings, they're like, wow, here's Sauron, he's back. So I don't want him to fight Sauron now, otherwise it's like, oh, he's back again. So I found that a little bit annoying. And what they do in this film, and I won't tell you how, is that they kind of get round that by sort of explaining it pretty easily and in a kind of non-distinct... Well, it's not non-distinct, it's distinct because it's on the screen you're watching. But it's kind of like you think, why did you bother in a way? Why did you bother having it in there? And so I was going, if you're going into the film thinking, God, I hope they do load of Sauron stuff, you'll be disappointed. I was quite glad, but then I still had to clock, well, why bother then? Almost why bother? There are some good scenes there though, some good scenes. Some good Galadriel shit going on. She knocks some arse. She kicks some arse. Hang on a second. I really need an assistant to bring me wine. Applications on a postcard. So yeah, the good things about it, is that it seems finally to be in its own place. This is the story of the Hobbit. This is the story of the dwarves going to Erebor and doing their shit, and it's a big battle, and the orcs come, and whatever. But it seems to have grown up. It seems to be its own thing. You think, oh yeah, this is the Hobbit that I remember now. Got rid of the Sauron stuff. And yeah, I'm trying to concentrate on the good because I've got some negatives. The opening 15 minutes is like a James Bond opening 15 minutes with loads of shit happening, and then the titles come up. Battle of the Five Armies. Already you've seen some impressive stuff, and so that was really, really good. There's a character, the slimy kind of like Green Wormtongue, but his name's Archie or something. Archie? The Master's Servant is in it quite a lot, and he's a funny character because he's got no arc. He just is an arse all the way through it, but he keeps popping up, and he is kind of good comic relief. Yeah, the dragon scenes are really amazing. They're really well done, but I have to say that there was at no point in this film did I feel the awe. At least in the second one, Smaug, I felt when I saw the dragon for the first time, when he was doing his shit, I really went, wow, this is something else. I'm really seeing something here, and seeing under the mountain all the things. And that was really good. And I found that missing in this film. The battle scenes are well done. I think it was Gollum. Who's the guy? He was the second assistant director or something like that on this film. Or at least did a few scenes. And they're very well done, but they're kind of like you've seen this stuff before, and it's nothing compared to Helm's Deep or the emotion of the Fields of Pelennor in Return of the King or anything like that. So, but they're very competent, and it's always good fun. And you watch it. The battle's a little bit hard to place where everyone is. There's not much tactics going on, it doesn't seem. Like, people seem to appear over there and then disappear, and then, yeah, I think it could have been edited a little bit better. So, yeah, there are a few issues there, but they're well done. What I think's really good is, although he's a bit one note, is Richard Armitage's Thorin. That story is really, really good. And between him and Bilbo should have been in these three much, much more. It should have been The Hobbit. The Hobbit, The Hobbit, The Hobbit. He should have been in it miles more, and that's a real problem, I think, for the trilogy. But the things between him and Thorin, they do work. I don't know how well earned they are, because I don't know if I've seen that relationship build that well. To be honest, I can't quite remember the other two brilliantly. I've only seen them a year ago or something. But it is, but they are good scenes. They are good scenes between them. And his story, where he's got the dragon sickness, he's hungering for the gold, he wants the stone. He's really good at that. You're convinced that this guy's gone pretty loopy, and that works, and that works pretty well for me. What doesn't work for me is that his enemy is this crap Azog shit thing. He's fucking crap. He's one of the worst baddies I've ever seen. And if I could have seen if I saw one more scene of him just going at the screen across the whole trilogy, I would have fucking been sick. It's shit. He's shit. He looks like he's from a computer game. He's shit. He's just a rubbish villain. And I found that about most of the orcs in this. Some of them, there were some good ones. There were some good beasts that crop up. And there's some entertaining attacks on the city. It all very much stays in one place, which is kind of unusual for a Rings film. for a Peter Jackson Rings film, Peter Jackson Tolkien film. Sorry, yeah. So I think he's rubbish. Legolas is rubbish. There's no reason for him to be in these films. He's not exactly a fan favourite. I mean, put in Gimli if you want to be like that. Well, you can't because he's mortal. But Legolas, his makeup's rubbish. He is a bit rubbish, and also in this he becomes a sort of Superman. He does these things, falling things. You know, in the Return of the King, it's great when he rides up on top of the elephant. That's great. And when he slides down the stairs in the Two Towers, wicked. In this, he becomes a lot of Superman, just fucking moving things over. Like, it just gets ridiculous, and you lose your empathy for him because you just think, well, this guy should pretty much just do anything, wherever he wants. If it's miles over there, he'll be there in a second, just fucking getting someone in the eye with an arrow. And it doesn't really work for me. He doesn't work for me. He's rubbish. Also, what didn't work for me was which in the second film, I found the love thing between Killy and Toriel I quite liked that. I thought that was a bit of magic in the film. In this, they over-egg it. It turns shit. It ruins it. You just going, again, it's unearned, this relationship stuff. Doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel magic. I thought it got in the way and it was a little bit shit. So, overall, Martin Freeman's just great again. He's really fucking good in this. I thought in the first one, when people said, "Oh, he's perfect for it," I thought, man, he's quite good. By this one, he's really good at it. I think he's terrific. When the picture's on him, it seems layered. I think all the dwarves are good, but they're just hardly in it again, really. I think the Lee Pace is stuck with a bit of a crap role, the Elf King. Yeah, I haven't got a thirst to see it again. I'm obviously going to buy it to go with the others. I haven't got a massive thirst to see it again. You know, it's good. I'd stretch to an 8 out of 10, but that's because of spectacle. You know, it's that good because it's innately that good. But does it have spark? No, not really. It has a lot of good stuff in there, and you'll enjoy it. I think people clapped, by the way, in the cinema I was in, and there were only about 30 people. But at least 4 of them clapped, so fair one. I might just be being a bit harsh, but yeah, I thought it was good. I think the second film's better, and and it's kind of different to the first film, but it's just not a patch on the Lord of the Rings thing. So there was always going to be that. There was always going to be that. But anyway, yeah. So there's the Hobbit. Go and see it. You'll like it. It'll be good. All Is Lost. All Is Lost I saw this week, which I'd missed on the cinema because it didn't come out. And this is by a director called J.C. Shandor. Where is it? Who did a film called Margin Call, which I really, really, really liked. And that was his first film. I think his dad was a broker, or he was a broker or something. But he knew a lot about it anyway. So maybe he's a sailor as well, or maybe he's not actually. Because he did this film, All Is Lost, with Robert Redford. And it's just about Robert Redford alone on a boat. It's got hardly any dialogue in it. And it's Robert Redford alone on a boat, just losing it. He has a crash at the beginning. It doesn't seem to affect the boat that much. I think the main thing is that it's a massive storm. Oh, he loses electrical power. And then he has to go through a couple of storms and he has to survive, really. And it's decent. It's a really good film. I've read a lot of stuff from actual sailors saying this guy's a knob and he shouldn't have done most of these things, which is why I question J.C. Shandor whether he's a sailor. But if you don't know anything about sailing, you just go along with it. There are some weird sort of repetitive shots where you don't really know why Robert Redford's doing what he's doing. He goes in to get a box and gets it out and then puts it back and then gets off the boat and then goes back to get another box. It doesn't really seem that much point, but overall you can ignore that. It's Robert Redford who's got his craggy, brilliant face, and it really works. I think it really works. Some of the storm scenes I would have liked a few distant shots. I think it was quite a micro-budget film, even with Robert Redford on board. So the big storm seemed a little bit CG and you're just kind of hands-on with him and he gets inside and stuff, which apparently you're not supposed to do in a storm. You're meant to be a little bit hands-on deck, otherwise you're going to die. But yeah, so some of that I would have liked to seen some wide, like, perfect storm shots, like waves and shit. But so you don't get that, but you do get this depressing. This is a man who just I can't tell you too much, but he's very much adrift, and he's living on these rations and trying to sort out these rations, and some really, really impressive stuff, some tense stuff where massive freighters massive freighters go past, and he's trying to flag them, and you see these colossal bastards, and he can't. It's really, really good. It's affecting, and the whole last half hour I think is really, really affecting. I was tense. I thought it was terrific by the time at the end. The first hour or stuff you just kind of watching with interest, but the last half hour I was just going, man, I was as desperate as this guy. And I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was another good film by J.C. Chandor. Well done, Robert Redford, for a great performance, which really does keep you engaged. Fuck! At one point he goes, as you would, I would have said fuck a lot more times than him. And J.C. Chandor's got another film coming out soon in the January, which is called A Very Violent Year, which I'm really looking forward to, because I think this guy's a talent. Let's hope. That's with Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain, so good cast. I think he's a real talent. So that's all is lost. All is not lost for this week. So 2 ones that I liked, but well, one that I like. Yeah. Anyway, all is not lost. Watch All Is Lost. And now classics from my attic. I've been out a lot this week. I'm quite tired now. I've been out a lot this week, but I have managed to watch one of my films, which I had mentioned to you, and I had warned you that my films might not always be classics. And I'd even warned you about this film, saying it's not a very good film. And it is. Dun, dun, Flatliners. Look at that cover. Look at that cover. I mean, that belongs in a charity shop, doesn't it? Or on a what's it called? A boot sale, 50p, I'll tell you. It's a crap cover. Is it a crap film? Is it not a very good film? Well, it's a bit harsh for me to say it's not very good. It's alright. There's some stuff in there that's quite fun. If you haven't seen it, it's about... God, I didn't explain the Battle of the Five Armies, did I? And Penguins of Madagascar has no plot whatsoever. Oh, I did kind of explain it. But anyway, this is about a load of doctors who are... It's 1990, and it looks like the 80s are pulling it back with hairstyles and stuff. And it's a load of doctors who experiment dying, killing themselves, essentially, for a few minutes and then coming back and then reporting on back. And they see some afterlife stuff, and Kiefer Sutherland goes first, and he's the real narcissistic git. He's a fucker. And they all kind of follow him doing it, and they come back and they sort of drag their demons back from the afterlife. The thing's shot like a rock video in this world that definitely doesn't exist, or if it does, I don't think anyone will want to live in it. They all live in these places with these fantastically sized rooms with like gothic fucking gargoyles hanging off the walls. Every road they're on, there's smoke coming out of the pavements. Like, it's like the fucking place is on fire or above hell, ironically. Or that's what the art designer wanted to do. It's Joel Schumacher, by the way. There's a lot of green and neon in this film, which he would later use to dazzling effect in the Batman sequels. But it's any good. Yeah, it is quite. I wasn't looking forward to watching it. I'm kind of going through all my films, so I wasn't looking forward to watching it, but I did enjoy it. Kiefer Sutherland, he's such a prick. No one would even hang around with this guy. He would have just died and they would have left him there. It's Julia Roberts, Kevin Bacon, one of those Baldwin chaps. But there's some decent stuff in there. There's some... It's hard to say. It's okay though. It's okay. There's some stuff in there. I think particularly the Kiefer Sutherland story, where this little fucking kid's coming back and smashing him around the face every time. And I'll tell you what he does. There's a kid, right, okay, there's a ghost kid smashing you in the face whenever you're on your own. So what do? You go into your massive house that has no lights, basically. It has no lights. It just has blue lights and windy curtains. That's what you live in. A massive room that basically looks like a spooky fucking house. What a twat. So yeah. So that part of it's quite good, and obviously they get it and they resolve it. And but there's some interesting music. It's James Newton Howard is the music, and I do like him. There's some interesting shots of gargoyles and stuff. So a couple of interesting science versus religion themes. They're not really that far explored, to be honest. Basically, it says, "Oh, there's a religious thing, you know, science, whatever." But it's still sort of reasonably interesting. Kevin Bacon's really bad in it, and I'm glad that he's bad because he does those fucking EE adverts before every film I see at the cinema, and they are annoying. He should stop doing them, and if he's bad in something, then good. He's an arse. He's turned into an arse. 4G, 4, kiss my ass. Kiss my ass. But anyway, that's it for this week. I don't know, because next week is pretty much Christmas week, and The Hobbit is hoovering up the screens. So I don't know if there's that much being released next week, so there might be a short show, there might be a Christmas show. Yeah, whatever. But enjoy. I'll see you at the movies. Cheers.